Feedback? I don't give what an ugly word, feedback. And I've been using it ever since.
What's better than feedback? Is it criticism?
I don't know, but
is it
critique?
A gentle word.
A gentle word. May I have a gentle word?
A gentle word with you.
That sounds so Bridgerton, doesn't it?
Bridgerton.
That sounds gentle word.
Yeah. It's not criticism, it's not feedback. It's just a gentle word. Hello, I'm Adam.
I'm Allison.
And we're Brewing Theatre. I am so excited to welcome our second guest host of Brewing Theatre ever, Dr. Allison Upshaw, whom we've known each other a good number of years now, haven't we? I'm not even sure how many years we go back.
I know, but...
5?
At least 5.
Ish?
I think.
Yeah, we first met when we were doing the bicentennial celebration of Alabama, and we through our second stage program, you had written a one-act for the One-Act Festival of Local Alabama Stories. Tell us a little bit about that for those who maybe don't remember that or don't know.
So I was really in the place of telling my mom's story, which has now become my story.
Yes.
But we were talking about what it meant to be African American and a landowner, and the things that come along with being a landowner when we are no longer in an agricultural society. What does that mean?
Right.
You know?
And you're an academic, a performer, a director, a singer. Not a farmer?
Not a farmer. not even in the least.
Right.
I have been able to stop killing my plants.
Oh, good.
This is good.
This is Phil. He's a philodendron. He's cowering in fear a little bit right now.
I know, he should be very afraid, Phil. Very, very afraid.
So you're not killing your plants.
I'm not killing my plants. I do have I think I have 3 peace lilies, so that's good because they tell me when the water.
Yeah, they just flop.
And so those are definitely living.
Good.
The rest of them is kind of a hit or miss.
Yeah. Paige and I, when we very first got married, someone gave us a peace lily, and we moved it 2 or 3 times, and I think that last move, though, it didn't quite make it, but it made it through a lot. I mean, you have to work at killing a peace lily, so.
No, you don't.
No?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
So anyway, so you're, the heart of the story is like, what do you do when you've got this homestead that you feel like you're the custodian of, but don't really, that's not your thing.
That's not my thing.
What's that like?
Well, it's a challenge because it is historical. It's land that's been in my family since the Civil War, the end of the Civil War, and people worked so hard to keep it. Right. In spite of all kinds of obstacles and challenges, and so it doesn't feel right to just let it go or to just let it drift off into nothingness.
Sure.
Because it's not my thing.
Right.
But it does. It makes you question: what do you owe the past, and what do you owe the future?
Yeah.
And what do I owe my future? Being an academic performer, all of these things that have nothing to do with being agricultural, right?
Right.
But what do I owe my mom and my grandmother and my great grandfather and all of those people who really worked so hard to keep this land for me?
Their focus of their lives.
Yeah.
So that's a lot to kind of take in. But you've been a little bit of a trailblazer in your own right, in that you're an African-American woman in the arts. And of course, it's just turned February, so we're excited to be celebrating African-American Heritage and History Month. And so I wanted to just invite you to kind of share a little bit about your story of what's it been like for you, because the arts, we sort of have this reputation, okay, we're very blue, we're very progressive and that kind of thing, but I'm imagining, based on the Oscars and the Tonys and the Emmys and all these kind of awards that you see, we're still not as progressive as we like to think we are.
Well, okay, so first of all, let me just say that I'm a trained opera singer, and so I come to the arts as an opera singer, and that was what I did, like, from the time I was in like 7th grade.
Whoa, you discovered a love of opera in 7th grade.
Yes. So,
you're a unique person.
Well, I don't know if it was a love of opera or it was the thing that my mom couldn't do for me.
Okay.
So there's that only child spreading her wings and trying to...
I love that opera was your rebellious stage.
My rebellious stage. My mama used to say, I thought you'd grow out of it and get a real job.
That's hilarious.
But, I didn't. I just kept flitting from art thing to art thing, and so there you go. But
well, a lot of artists do face that internal struggle of the family not really buying that this is a stable or credible profession.
Oh, but she would keep supporting me.
Yeah, but here we are. So cheers to us.
Cheers to us, She would keep supporting me, and she kept saying, "But aren't you gonna I want you to be a teacher or something, because that's what she was, a teacher." But it was so crazy. So I'm this opera singer, and I go through high school, and I'm singing opera, and I get, and I don't come to theater until later. Yeah. But I remember, I don't know if y'all remember, but there used to be this restaurant, Macaroni Grill. Yeah. And they hired opera singers.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
so
wow.
They wanted servers to be opera singers, but I was a hostess and I was an opera singer. Yeah. So I would go around in the restaurant and just sing snippets of opera, right?
You want to know, this is a silly thing to add about the Macaroni Grill. Okay, so there's one in Knoxville, Tennessee. Okay. And Paige and I lived in Knoxville, Tennessee for a couple of years. She couldn't take it. It was way too orange, and every sign says, "Go Vols." But anyway, the Macaroni Grill we were so excited to go to because it's like this Italian thing. We'd never experienced that particular restaurant before. But they apparently put rosemary in everything, and she hates rosemary. Oh my God. So she did not have a good experience at the Macaroni Grill. And by the way, no opera singer.
No opera singer?
Which probably would have made it better.
That would have made it. That makes everything better.
I derailed your story.
But that's okay. I get it.
This is what I do to Tina, too. And she's about this stage in every episode, she says, I'm never doing another one of these again. So feel free to put that in there at any point.
But it was weird because I opened the one in Montgomery, right?
Yes. Oh, wow.
And this is going back to the idea of being open and welcoming and liberal and everything. And so I remember one night, this older white gentleman leans over to me, I'm singing, and he says, "Stop singing that." Oh. And I said, okay.
It's kind of my job.
I was like, thanks, And I keep going, I'm going, and all night he stops me and says, "Black people don't sing that." Oh. Okay. And I'm like, well, sir, it's my job, and I'll be doing that until my manager tells me no. Right. And then the crazy thing is, it was his birthday, so his family brings me over there because they had this whole big Macaroni Grill birthday by an opera singer thing. Of course. And they're so excited, and they're taking pictures, and he is beat red and dying over there. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm sorry, we're having a moment, but I gotta do it because your family wants me to do it. So I sing happy birthday to him, and I hit this atrociously high note.
Good for you.
But it was just weird. It was very unexpected because most people are like, oh my gosh. There was this one little girl actually who made her family come to Macaroni Grill just to hear me sing.
Oh, I
and
love
she would
that.
And so I would say, well, what do you want to hear? I'm thinking Farmin' the Dill, whatever. She says, the theme from Cops.
Bad
She's
Boys?
Hollering, yes!
Bad Boys?
Yes! Oh my God! Somebody somewhere in this world has got a copy of me singing "Bad Boys,
what you gonna do?"
Yes, yes.
This is the best thing I've ever heard. Yes. Ever in the history of things.
Yes, and she was just as happy as a lamb. She was just...
Bad Boys.
Yes,
it's like a Saturday Night Live skit.
Can I tell you?
I can see Kristen Wiig doing this.
The entire restaurant was on the floor, just howling, and I'm just like, okay, hey, okay, this is what she wants. She was like,
she knew
3
what
or
she
4.
wanted. That's great.
Yeah.
That is a show I have never actually watched a full episode of. Usually about the time the theme song comes on, I'm like, where's the clicker? I'm going to flip it. We're going to find something else to watch.
See, you don't know what they don't know what they missed.
They really...
They could have had an opera singer do that, and it would have just totally changed the world.
It really would have. Who knows what would be happening now.
Oh, Lord,
Oh,
yes. But yes,
yeah.
so, I think just
So maybe in the beginning it was more like, oh, okay, well, this is unusual, and so isn't that cool?
Yes.
But then you did find some folks that were just, they couldn't see that. They couldn't move beyond
they couldn't move beyond what their experience is.
Yeah.
And, and actually there is a very rich history of African Americans in the world of opera.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody's seen the picture of Chevalier. The Chevalier de Saint George. I don't know, was it on Netflix? But it's about this really famous African African violinist who was actually asked to be the teacher of Mozart. He was that good, but Mozart didn't want to study with him.
Oh.
And actually he was given the leadership of the Paris Opera, but the opera singers, the divas, refused to work for a mulatto.
Really? Wow.
Yes. So there's a lot of openness,
history,
but there's a lot of racism in, the history of the arts as well.
Well,
and
that's interesting too, because you hear stories too about, say, Josephine Baker, who really wasn't accepted in the United States, but went to Europe and was much more accepted, but she was sticking to her music.
Right.
So that's where, even though, they would accept her as an African American singer of music, if she stuck to jazz or whatever, then that's fine.
Yes.
But maybe she would have had a harder time. She was trying to do opera.
And that's there's a lady, oh my gosh, I can't remember, but she was the first black cast as the first black Venus in Germany.
Yeah.
And that was because the ideal is blonde-haired, blue-eyed, right, at the time. So this was right around the war.
I was about to say, was that pre or post World War II?
I can't remember,
Yeah.
but I know that she was cast. I think it was post-war.
Okay.
But she had a very difficult time being accepted. So it was.
Imagine.
There's just stories. What I remember is that people will be people. And the history of inhumanity to each other does not change.
No.
But there are always those other stories where people are humane to each other.
Yes.
And so it just balances out, and it's just the story of life.
And it's not always to do with race. We find all kinds of ways to discriminate against one another.
Exactly.
I'm half Jewish, so I have that heritage as well. And then, of course, in the ancient world, it was all about taking captives from whatever neighboring country you were invading. It didn't even matter. That was more about nationality than race or gender or class or anything like that. So, we always find a way to oppress somebody.
That's right. Somebody's different from me, so I don't like them. I'm not going to like them.
One of my favorite lines from one of the musicals is, "Someone's got to be oppressed." It's from Godspell. Someone's got to be oppressed.
It's your turn. How was it last week? It's your turn now.
Oh, goodness.
It's scary.
This has been a fascinating story. I always love having these conversations with you because you're just brilliant and you bring so much insight to the table. But one thing that I really would love for our listeners and viewers to hear more about is you're a guest director again with us. You are directing masterclass about opera, yes, and a very specific opera diva. So tell us more about masterclass for those folks who've been like, what? What are y'all doing?
Yes. Okay. So it's about Maria Callas,
yes,
who many people may not know that she was the lover of Jackie Onassis's husband, Aristotle Onassis, and there is some question about whether she was his lover while Jackie O was married. Well, while during. So there's some that said that they did manage to keep this affair going even while after he married Jackie O. He never married Callas.
She didn't have a history of marrying fidelitous men.
She did not.
Bless her.
Like, honey, you should have changed your perfume. I don't know. New hats. I don't know what it was, but that was
her
not
husbands
good.
like to cheat.
They did.
Though maybe it was more a product of the time than anything else.
But Maria Callas is this wonderful, wonderful woman who was known for taking risks vocally. She peaked in her career very early. And so when we meet her, she has pretty much lost her voice. But so there's this thing in the performance world, and I don't know if it's true in straight theater, but we used to say at the conservatory, those who can do and those who can't teach.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Yeah.
We hear that too.
Oh my! I said that one time in a teacher workshop, and they were like, "Gasp!
How
Horror!"
dare you,
like,
sir?
What? Yeah, I know. It's like gentle reminders.
Yeah.
Gentle reminders. This was just what we used to say before we became enlightened and informed,
Yes.
right? Before all of us became
How important
teachers.
pedagogy truly is.
And it is,
Yeah. But there's a little bit of truth.
But there is a little bit of truth. There's those of us who perform, and then we come to teaching not voluntarily.
Right.
And so it becomes it feels like a punishment in the beginning.
Ah, yes.
And the new wave of singers that comes up often thinks, well, if you were still able to perform, would you even be a teacher, right?
Right.
And the truth of that, there is truth in that.
A little bit,
You're
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so Maria Callas is at Juilliard. This was built off of interviews that she did and master classes that she did at Juilliard. Mm-hmm. And it's this wonderful, horrifying thing.
I love how you juxtapose. Wonderful, horrifying.
It is because when I first read the script, I was like, oh my God, I think I'm having PTSD moments because I had a teacher.
Teachers?
Yeah, I remember these teachers who were, it's like, oh, there's one part in the play where she says, yes, Sophie de Palma. Oh, that's a nice name for the theater. I can see it outside of a theater. And then she says, yes, Sophie de Palma is the third Norn in Gotterdammerung. And it's like, but who wants to be the third Norn? You want to be the star. And here she is saying, yeah, I can see you as, some nondescript singer in the chorus. You get the one line of solo work in the chorus,
right.
and this is what I see you as, and you're thinking, but
I want to be the star.
I want to be the star.
Yes.
And so we come as she is trying her best to delve into the lives of these singers and get them to be better than who they are.
Right.
But there's so much truth in what she says. Like the singers come, I want to sing. Yes. I want to be prepared. So they aren't prepared. They're like, I'm a singer, I'm not an actress. And she's like, no, you've got to do better. You've got to know. You've got to not act. You've got to feel. You've got to share. And she's going on. And then she has these little minor hallucinations. But,
like AI. She's like a little AI person.
She's just a little AI. And she just has these
hallucination in the middle.
Hallucinations where she's imagining herself singing these roles, right?
Right.
But it's a
But
beautiful
she's someone,
thing.
This is a phrase I keep using and I keep coming back to, and I'd love to hear how it resonates with you as the director. It's about a person on the other side of greatness.
Yes.
And how do you live with that? How do you deal with that?
But here's the thing too, is it's on the other side of greatness. It's on the other side of menopause.
Okay.
Because she's getting older.
Right.
She's an older woman now. And if she's not, there is a line where she talks about being pregnant and having Onassis requires her to get rid of the baby, right?
Dear. Oh, wow.
He does, it's gently done. Okay, right. So it's not traumatic in this, but it's this moment where this older woman says, I may not have many more chances like this.
Right.
This may be my only chance. And then he makes her choose between the baby and him.
Wow.
And she makes the choice between having him and being alone.
Right.
And thinking of herself as being alone and being older. So it's being on the other side of greatness, but it's being on the other side of what the world considers to be a beautiful woman.
Right.
But she talks about being beautiful. She talks about being accepted because she starts off life as an overweight singer and in opera we celebrate this
a little bit
overweight.
More common.
It's more common.
It's not over till the fat lady sings, right?
Exactly. But we are now currently that's very different.
Yeah.
So I had this story about, this is not a masterclass story, but this is a story about a woman who came to do a masterclass that I was sitting in, and I remember her saying that she was in the chorus at the Met, and one day she's at home, she gets a call, and they say, Weight Watchers meets at St. Peter's at 4:00 on Tuesdays. Click.
Oh! Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
And I sat there and I was like, gasp, right, hard.
Yeah.
And she's like, but what that told me was that they were considering me for a leading role.
Wow.
And they wouldn't unless I lost weight. I said, well, what did you do?
She went.
She went.
She went.
She went. And she lost the weight, too. You know, because that's what we want to do. But it's all of these things that we accept.
Yeah.
Because she's Maria Callas in the play. On one hand, you know, you're sympathetic to her.
Yes.
But on the other hand, she's like this mean, catty person sometimes. And so, but it's amazing what the singers will accept.
Right.
And what young artists accept in the name of getting better and improving.
Right. Or for opportunity.
And for opportunity. I
You
mean,
know,
to
that's
say
a
I
big
worked
thing.
with Maria Callas, or I worked with, you know, Judith Jameson, or I worked with whomever the star is.
Yeah, that stamp of legitimacy that I'm good enough.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and that you asked if
scary.
that's the same in straight theater, and I think it absolutely is. And we're struggling right now with the new generation of people who are less willing to be abused for the sake of someone else's ego. And so there's a whole new language developing around intimacy. Like, for example, scenes about figuring out where you're comfortable with other people touching you and all this kind of thing, and it being okay to say, I'm not comfortable with that. Because there were many, many years when there was no choice. There was no, I'm uncomfortable with that. You just say, yes, sir. And it was a sir, because it was probably a white male director, and that's how it went. So things sometimes change, maybe a little bit.
And even
Maybe there's hope.
There's and this idea of intimacy and consent, and it doesn't always have to be sexual, but it just has to be an awareness of people, as persons with background information and background experiences that we all bring to our theater selves, right? And they're not always pleasant.
Right. Well, that's true.
And sometimes that those experiences that are not pleasant are the things that fuel our artistry.
Right.
But finding out, but just allowing us to be people, and Callas wavers back and forth, and you see her humanity, but you don't always like her humanity.
Right.
And that I think is, but there is beautiful singing. There is beautiful singing.
Yes. And we have this wonderful
acting.
cast of supporting characters.
Yes.
And I keep bragging on the fact that we got Natasha Perrine to come in, who is the executive director of Tuscaloosa Symphony Orchestra. And we're doing more and more collaboration with the symphony and other groups throughout the community, trying to really, foster just the overall growth of the arts and the success of the arts. And so I think it's a little triumph that we were able to convince her to come audition, and that she got the role, and she's contributing to this show. But there are several. We have a tenor and a couple of sopranos. We have a piano player.
Who also
a
sings.
Stagehand. So it's not just a one-woman show, but boy, does Ava have the line load, the share of the line load, the lion's share of the line load.
50 pages, and she talks on every single page.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And not only is she Maria Callas, she also, in her little hallucination moments, she becomes these other characters.
Yeah.
So she is the woman, but she is also these other people too, and you see this interaction, and it's amazing.
Yeah. In this season that is awards season, you guys are definitely going to want to come and check out the work that Allison has put together, that Ava is pouring her heart into as the performer, all these other performers. It's really a unique and artistic piece that you will laugh, you might cry, you might cringe a little bit, but you are definitely going to feel, and you're going to walk out having had a wonderful time. And I've had a wonderful time chatting with you, Allison.
Awesome!
Thank you for being our second ever co-host of Brewing Theatre.
Well, thank you for having me.
But I am getting close to the bottom of my cup, and so...
You too?
Until next time, I'm Adam.
I'm Allison.
And we've been Brewing Theatre. Cheers!